Hey folks, some sellers should be really nervous right now. I'm going to talk about that in the latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto for week ending April 12th, 2023. Very recently, working with our buyer clients, we put in an offer on a property. It was offer night, and we expected other offers to come in. It was a nice house. We put in our offer. Beforehand, we did all the research, and my clients knew that this is the most that they were going to. They had a certain number in mind that was the most that they were going to pay, and they weren't going to go over that. This way, we can go into offer night and not feel that we were going to get tricked into, paying way more for a property. So we went in. There was 4 offers when we submitted our offer, but by the time the night got going, there was 21 offers on this property. It was absolutely insane. Needless to say, we didn't get the house. Somebody else outbid us. Several people, I believe, outbid us. But man, the property ended up selling for $250,000, $280,000 more than what logically made sense. I'm not talking about 250 to 280 more than list price. So there was the list price, it was offer night. We kind of estimated where market value kind of should be. It went 250 to 280 above market value. That's what I'm getting at. The price made no logical sense. I don't think it made any logical sense to the seller that accepted that offer. And for sure the seller's motivated about that price. Every seller would be. Every seller wants as much as possible for their home. But there is a risk. What if it doesn't close? And this is why I say some sellers should be really nervous right now that have sold their homes for way more than what makes sense. We, working recently with buyer clients, we've put in an offer on a property where we're competing with another offer. The other offer wins. A few weeks later, the agent ends up calling me and saying, this is the listing agent, calls me back saying, hey, are your buyers still interested? Because we did take that other offer. It was more than yours, but financing isn't going through. It's also happened to us with representing sellers, where we've taken one or had to exclude one buyer because the financing isn't working out the way it should have been working out. The economy today is a little bit tricky. Interest rates are higher than they've been before. There's so much uncertainty. Lending, banks are, the way they decide how much and who they're going to lend to, it's become tougher these days. So the fact that a seller has sold way more than what logically makes sense should be a cause for the seller to be really nervous, because they look at that number that they got and they make plans with it. The home hasn't closed yet, but they've made plans with that amount that they're getting for their home. They've purchased, they've made other plans. And if for some reason their sale does not close, that doesn't let them off the hook for their buying plans. They've already bought. That's a separate agreement. So there's so many risks involved in selling higher. And I'm not saying don't sell for as much as you can get. That's what a seller's going to do. But there are risks, and you should know the risks. And maybe don't pop the champagne bottle until after it's closed and the money's in your bank. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from this video, subscribe. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description is a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way I'll know ahead of time and I'll make sure my schedule is organized so we can talk about whatever's on your mind. Today is game one, round one of the Toronto Maple Leafs versus Tampa Bay. Go Leafs, go. Let's get into the numbers. Here's a quick summary. We've got condos, semis and towns, detached. They're all average sold prices. The gap, it seems, the gap between semis and towns and detached, the price gap is starting to grow a bit. We're going to start off with detached properties for the City of Toronto for week ending April 12th. 129 detached properties were sold. Now, sales were going up and boom, they're down. And let me just kind of tell you, they're down across the GTA for almost every region. For week ending April 12th, sales came down. 129 were sold. 28 of those were at $2 million or more. We did sell 3 weeks ago 41 at $2 million or more, then 52 this week, way down. It's close to half. We're down to 28. Average sold price came down a bit from the previous week, now sitting at $1,763,000. 1,763 is 14% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. The median price is also 14% lower than a year ago. Median price is sitting at $1.4 million. Now the dotted line here for median and for average price, the dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. Makes it easier to spot a trend when we look at the 4-week moving average versus the peaks and valleys of, say, the regular average or the median prices. And if you look at the median, over the last 2 months or so, it's quite flat, hasn't moved that much. Average sold price has gone up, a little bit down and up again, and it's generally speaking on the way up. It's been trending upwards, but you know, it's for a couple weeks now a little bit lower. Let's see what happens over the next few weeks. But generally speaking, average sold price for detached properties has been trending upwards. Sales of the 129 that did sell, more than half, 54% sold at list price or more. It's somewhat competitive out there. What we're having is certain areas, certain properties go absolutely nuts with multiple offers, like the story I told at the beginning of this video. And in that same neighborhood, there could be a property sitting there not selling. We've kind of got the sample of both worlds right now, of property selling fast and property sitting there. Listings, you know, we would be expecting more listings, I gotta say, especially with prices going up the way they have been. You figured that sellers been kind of thinking, that have been on the sidelines thinking, hey, prices are up, maybe now's a good time to sell. We're not seeing the listings, and the weather's been great and getting better, and now it's sunny and spring is here, and this is a time when sellers normally come onto the market. We're just not seeing that. 261 detached properties were sold. Months of inventory jumped up a little bit. It's now sitting at 1.6 months of inventory. So it's higher than it's been for a little while, but still quite low. Very much a seller's market still for the detached market. Here's Toronto broken down into 9 regions. And again, the summary for Toronto's right here. Selling at list price or more, 54%, that's all of Toronto. Months of inventory, 1.6, that's all of Toronto. But I've kind of looked at some of the different areas here. Lower than 1.6, well, you've got East York, Riverdale Beaches at 0.9. You got Scarborough at 0.9 months of inventory. So that's way lower than the overall City of Toronto average. And the two same areas, for East York, 59% selling at list price or more. Scarborough, 66% selling at list price or more. These two areas here are the most competitive across the City of Toronto. You got some of the other areas here. You got Rexdale at 1 month of inventory. Etobicoke, 1.6 months of inventory. High Park, Parkdale, there was only 8 sales. 4 of those half sold at list price or more. Months of inventory sitting at 1.7. The average price in High Park is over 2.1 million. Willowdale Bayview, average price is 2.5 million plus. All of Toronto's right here. Let's get into semis. April 12th, 41 semis were sold. Sales came down from the previous week. 11 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price jumped up, sitting at $1,284,000. $1,284,000. It's 15% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. The median price is 14% lower than where it was a year ago. And looking at the 4-week moving average, although average prices and median prices were going up over the last month or so since the beginning of April, they seem quite flat actually. Months of inventory sitting at 1. It is up from the previous week, but I mean, we go from 0.7 to 1 month of inventory. Not a dramatic change. It's still quite low. 73% of the semis, there was only 41 sold, but 73% sold at list price or more. Here's townhouses. Sales have been coming down. Only 16 freehold townhouses were sold. One of those was at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price came way down to $1,181,000. $1,181,000 is 16% lower than where it was a year ago, and the median price is 15% lower. Median price, average sold price, pretty close. The median price is $1,159,000. Months of inventory, just like semi, sitting at 1 month of inventory. 75% of the townhouses sold at list price or more. But keep in mind, there was only 16 townhouses sold. Here's condos. Like I'm saying, sales 1 week to the next across all regions basically has come down. So condos, same thing. 227 condos were sold for week ending April the 12th. That's way down from the 318 that we sold the previous week. And we were looking at sales going up, 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 and thought, wow, condo sales are really getting up there. Not this week, they're down. 25 of those condos sold at $1 million or more. Average sold price jumped up to $750,000. $750,000 is 11% lower than where the condo prices were a year ago. The median price of $670,000 is also 11% lower than where the median price was a year ago. Now, the median price has been gradually trending upwards, not aggressively, but gradually. Average sold price for the last 5-6 weeks has been trending downwards, but not by a lot, just gradually trending downwards. Of the 227 that sold, 37% sold at list price or more. So you've got your detached market where over 50% are selling at list price or more, very competitive. The condo space is not as competitive, so a little bit more than a third selling at list price or more. Look at listings. They're not really much to talk about here. It's been pretty flat. I mean, it's up and down a little bit, but over the last 6-7 weeks, there hasn't been a lot of upward movement in listings. There haven't been a lot of listings coming onto the market. Months of inventory climbed up a bit, sitting at 2.1 months of inventory. Here's a summary of months of inventory in each segment. They have gone up from the previous week, but we are nowhere near a balanced market. We're definitely nowhere near a buyer's market. Very much sitting in an aggressive seller's market position down here. When you're looking at 1.6, 1 months of inventory, even 2.1 is quite low. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, today's game 1, round 1, go Leafs go.